All right, so tonight's State of Boxing video is going to be about uh, scouting a card and basic strategies available. Uh, I know I had mentioned in a previous video I would not be using any of the advanced strategy ratings in my tournament, and that's true. But there are some basic strategies that are available to all fighters, and there's some extra uh, basic strategies or some extra rated strategies that are not part of the advanced strategies that are available to certain select boxers. So we're going to look at some of that today. The first person we're going to look at is Bonavena from his last fight against Povetkin. You can see he doesn't have any advanced strategy ratings. He doesn't have any kind of strategy ratings on his card. So what types of strategies are available to just your everyday Joe Schmo boxer? That's on the page in the rules here called the rules that I rewritten, which are the defensive strategies that are optional for all fighter cards that are available for all fighters, even without the advanced strategy factors. Their use is totally optional. You can't use them in the same round of boxers using any aggression rounds ratings to fight aggressively. That won't be a case here. He doesn't have aggression round ratings. So what are the two strategies that are available to a regular boxer like this? The first one is a pace or a lower exchange strategies. And how that works is before the start of any round, a boxer can say, I'm going to use my pace strategy this round. And all he does is he lowers his starting exchanges by 2, and he loses half a point scoring because that's not seen as being an aggressive move. When would a boxer use that? Most of the time, he would use that when he's trying to get the fight to a conclusion. Because remember, a round ends when any boxer runs out of exchanges. So if he lowers his exchanges by 2, he's that much closer to getting the round over with and moving on to the next round. So a lot of times, maybe if a fighter is way ahead on the card, he just may want to, and he's not worried about losing those last couple rounds. He may take that half point thing and just lower the exchanges and try to get the fight over with sooner. In that last fight between Bonavena and Povetkin, there was no call to use either of these strategies because the fight was so close and nobody really came close to getting super seriously hurt. So there was no need for either of those guys. So that's why I didn't see that in that example bout. Plus, I wanted to keep it simple. The other strategy that's available to fighters is a clinch strategy. They can clinch, they can do one offensive clinch per round, they can do one defensive clinch per round, and once during the whole fight, they can do a 3 exchange clinch. So the clinch that they can do every round is on offense or defense. They can say, once on offense and once on defense, they can say, I'm going to go into a clinch. That will lower both boxers' exchanges by 1, and the fighter will lose a half a point. So it costs him a half a point to lower both fighters' exchanges by 1. And if he does it on offense, then it doesn't matter what he rolls on his card. He will lose control to the other boxer. On defense, he will lower both the fighters' exchanges by 1. He loses half a point. Plus, if the other boxer maintains control, they just do that normally. So, when would a boxer use a clinch? Well, the clinches are more when they're really in trouble. You know, if they're very close to maybe reaching their TKO resistance rating in a round, they may start doing their clinches to try to get out of the round before they get those last points hit on them. And each fighter, in addition to one offensive and one defensive that they can use, and again, every time they use it, it's a half point against. Once in a fight, they can use a 3 exchange clinch, and it works just like a 1 exchange clinch. They just say, I'm going to use my 1-3 exchange clinch this round, and it reduces both fighters' exchanges by 3 at the cost of a half a point, but they can only do it once per fight. And again, you're going to save that for when you're seriously in trouble, you're about to get knocked out, you're trying to get out of the round. However, you cannot use the clinch strategy if the one exchange, if it would end the round. So you can't use a clinch on the last exchange, offense or defense, to try to end the round with it. You have to have at least 2 or more. And in the case of using the 3 clinch, there has to be at least 4 exchanges left for both boxers in the round to use that 3 exchange clinch. So that's the basic strategies that are available to all boxers. The pace, where they can say before the round, I'm going to reduce my exchanges only by 2. Or they can do a clinch strategy, 1 offensive, 1 exchange clinch, a defensive 1 exchange clinch per round at the cost of a half point scored against them. Or they can do a 3 exchange clinch once in a fight. Now let's look at somebody else who not only has those features available, but also has some extra defensive strategies. It just so happens that my next randomly selected bout is going to be Gentleman Jim Corbett against Leon Spinks. And let's look at these 2 cards and try to scout this fight a little bit. You can see that Jim Corbett is a B-rated boxer, and Leon Spinks is a C-. He is equally adept with using all 4 blows, left and right to the head, left and right to the body, and Spinks is just likes left and rights to the head. Spinks is also N2, same round weak, so if he gets knocked down once in a round, the chances of him going down a second time are greatly increased. They both have similar offensive and defensive power ratings. Neither of these guys was very powerful. They both are, Corbett is a CC, and Spinks is a CC, unless he comes into a bout out of shape, in which case his TKO rating will be 17 instead of 30, and his defensive boxing rating will be a D. You can see that both of these boxers have advanced strategy ratings that we will not be talking about today. Spinks actually has better strategy ratings here with a total of +3, and Corbett only has a +1. However, Corbett has some strategies that you will see on some special boxers. He has a special called out clinch rating. He has a jab rating, and he has a pace rating. These are extra defensive strategies that are available only to some boxers. Corbett also has a reputation of 10. When Dr. Julian Compton created the sets initially, he ranked the top 10 heavyweights that he considered all time in 1978, and Jim Corbett was rated 10 out of the 10 that he rated. We'll see some of the other ones later on. Corbett was the second lineal heavyweight champion. He was the only person to defeat John L. Sullivan, who was the reigning champion at the time. and he lost to Corbett lost to Bob Fitzsimmons, which we'll discuss at some other point. But Corbett, you can tell by looking at his card, he does not look all that impressive initially. He's got 1 power rating in the 3rd round. He's got 1 aggression rating in the 8th round. He does have some good control ratings, 1 to 5 and 11 through 15. He will have an extra control that he will retain control if he rolls the 10. But if you look at his defensive column, it's full of Ks for knockouts and Ns for knockdowns, a lot of TKOs. And you may be wondering, how does this guy end up in the top 10? And the thing is, it all comes down to these ratings here. And what this tells us, just by looking at a data boxing card, is we can actually see what kind of fighter Corbett was. If you go look him up on Google, he's really the like the father of modern boxing. He was the first one to fight with gloves. He was the first one that would do jabs and clinches and box defensively. This little D here, which I'll explain in a minute, next to his boxing rating, is a special defensive rating that lets him use his clinches and jabs and paces without paying that half-point penalty. That's very important. If you look at Leon Spink's card here and Corbett's card here, this 79 means how many points he can generate on offense. He has a 3 at 16. He has a 1 at 12 instead of 13 like Spinks has, which is better. Spinks has 72 points. But Spinks is more likely to knock down or knock out Corbett on the face of it. That's where these strategies come involved. The pace rating means that Corbett's always going to start with 1 exchange less every round that he's in. He will not stand toe-to-toe with people. That was not his game. He was like the original rope-a-dope guy. His strategy is, I'm going to score points on you with my superior point power, and then I'm going to use these defensive ratings to basically run away from you or stay away from you so that you can't knock me out or knock me down. That's his strategy, and you can see that here. So what do these extra strategies mean? This pace one is minus pace strategies have to be used, so he will always have 1 less exchange every round than normal. So if Leon Spink starts with 9 in a round, he will start with 8. But he'll always lead because he's the B and he's the C, or he has a higher versatility of 4 versus his 2. And he's the only one with an aggression round. So Corbett's always going to lead the round with his lower exchanges. So Spinks may not be able to use his higher number of exchanges, but Corbett's going to try to run the round out. This clinch rating that Corbett has, I said before, for a standard boxer like Bonavena, or even for Leon Spinks, they only get 1 3-exchange clinch per fight, and it costs them half a point. Corbett can use up to 5 3-exchange clinches in a fight, and he can use multiple in the same round. He gets the one that's given to every boxer, plus he gets 4 extra ones that he can use. In any round, he can use multiple in a round. He just says we're both losing 3 exchanges. He doesn't get penalized because of this special D defensive rating. And he will basically try to clinch his way out of a fight. The other rating he has is a jab rating. He can use this in 5 different rounds during the fight, and this is a run and jab strategy. What that strategy is it cancels all the power blows between 3 and 18 for both boxers. So this injury would go away, this injury, this K, this N, those would all go away. And only the TKO cut and injury at 3 and the TKO cut and injury at 18 would be in effect when he's running and jabbing. But the same thing happens over on Leon Spink's card. He loses the injury at 4, he loses the injury at 16, and he loses this KO and this N0, N1 or N1, N2 knockdown chance at 17. So his only chances of knocking out Corbett when Corbett's doing the run and jab strategy is if he rolls at 3 or an 18. So you can see that although normally like in Bonavena Povetkin fight wouldn't use the strategy so much, but for Jim Corbett, if he doesn't use these strategies to his best advantage, then these numbers are going to get hit by Spinks or some of the better boxers he'll face later in the round. So I'm not sure if I'm going to film this fight, but that gives you an example of how both the basic strategies and these extra defensive strategies that can be called into play during a game without even using these advanced strategy ratings. For Corbett, I said these advanced strategy ratings are not applicable or really good to use in the solitaire game. For fighters like Corbett, these, the jab, the pace, that special D rating, super important for him to get anywhere in this tournament. So that is a little discussion on strategy. So what you can expect to see when Corbett fights Spinks is any round where Corbett piles up a few more points than Spinks, he's going to clinch, he's going to run and jab, he'll try to slow down the pace. Basically, he's just going to try to outbox Spinks. And Spinks is just going to have to try to get to him early and see if he can get him down before he can and take advantage of these before he can start calling on these. So that is a discussion of basic strategy and the extra defensive strategies that can be used in data boxing, and a little bit on how to read a card like Corbett's. He's much better than you would initially think if you just looked at this defensive column full of K's and N's. The last thing I want to talk about today is I updated the spreadsheet that's uploaded to both Board Game Geek and to Delphi Forums. I think you can see this here. Bill Som did an upgrade for me. When I first created this spreadsheet, I did not really expect to be sharing it, so boxers were scattered all over the different sheets. But he put links on every sheet, one up here to take you back to the front page. Here's all the boxers, all 156 of them, alphabetically sorted. And if you want any particular boxer, you want to find Povetkin, he's on sheet 16, and clicking that link will take you right to his card, and then you can go back to the fighter list and say, where's Bonavena? And he's right on sheet 1 because he's one of the first guys I did. So thank you, Bill. That's super helpful. That's going to be a great feature for people who want to use this spreadsheet. Like I said, when I first started this, I didn't think I was going to share this sheet, so I just entered boxers in the order of my randomized tournament. And once I decided I was going to share it, I had so many in here, I said, I'm not redoing these pages. So very helpful. This other thing, it sorts them by worksheet. So you can also sort them that way. Okay, thanks everyone.